Are we live? Yes, we are live. What is up, y'all? This is Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS Podcast, episode number 106. We are live here with music. With music in the background, because we like the ambiance, you know. It's mellow. We like being mellow here. And we are here on a fine Tuesday evening. Not Thursday evening, not Thursday like normal, Tuesday evening, because Forte, look, the man about to go on vacation. And where he going? He's not going to have the ability to do the podcast. So look, we're going to let this man enjoy his vacation. He decided to get all of his podcasting out in just a short period of time. He just came from another podcast. I'm sure he gonna do a podcast after this podcast is over. You know exactly how it's gonna roll. So like, who am I talking about? I'm talking about my co-host, Mr. Game and Forte. What's up, bro?
What's up, bro? Yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to the chat. I was just over on RDX. I told Dylan I could do the first hour over there with him, but then I had to come over here. And yeah, it was fun. It's fun just talking about games. And yes, your boy we're going to the cabins up in Tennessee, and it's gonna be fun. Going to Dollywood, it's gonna be fun. And you're right, Slomo. I won't do a podcast after this. I got like 4 videos that I need to make for my channel. So my channel has content on it while I'm gone. But yeah, it's cool to be here with you. And it's something about a Tuesday. It's always, you know, we started the show on a Tuesday, and it was fun then.
I believe we should have stayed on a Tuesday. That might actually be a poll. I might have to do real quick.
Lord, here you go.
I'm just saying.
We'll go ahead and drop a poll and look at that girl walk on the screen. Jesus Christ! But it's it's a good. Listen, that's a nice dress she got on. But yeah, man, it's good to be here with you, man.
Woman. She's evil.
Very evil woman. But yeah, I definitely wanted to do a show with you.
Great characters in that game. Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely wanted to do this show with you this week, because I don't know if I could go a week and a half without slow-mo in my life. So, you know, that's why we're here, bro.
All right. Well, I mean, since we on the topic, what you been up to over the past weekend? What games you play? What games you been playing?
Actually, I have been playing pretty much nothing. Well, I've been playing God of War because I'm almost done with my PC playthrough. Getting ready for the new one to come out. I've been playing a little bit of what is the name of that freaking game? Scorn. I played a little bit of that just to see what everybody's talking about. And yeah, that game is absolute horror when it comes to the puzzles. It's like, why are these puzzles the way they are? But I'm gonna finish it. It's actually a pretty cool game, so I've been doing that. But the biggest thing I've been watching TV a lot, getting caught up on shows, because next week is the season finale for House of Dragons, so I have to get started on that. But I've been watching a lot of the Ring of Power, the Lord of the Rings stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing over the course of the last week, just getting caught up on TV for some reason. Don't know why, just felt like I wanted to sit down and watch it for a while. But outside of that, man, just making videos, doing podcasts, going to work, you know, pretty much the same Monday stuff that everybody in this community does, hopefully.
Yeah, man. For me, as you guys know, as you guys know, I had to play Scorn. Shout out to Erodimus, who turned in the I'm sorry, not Erodimus.
Don't you be giving
hey, I got, look, the guys that be getting me to play these games I don't want to play. I got it mixed up. My bad. Shout out to Cat Daddy Alert, who turned in his channel member the Min-Max build member request to have me play Scorn. I did the minimum 2 hours. It was torture the entire freaking time. It was. I may have made it through 2.5 puzzles before. I think maybe like the last half hour was just me just like talking about random stuff that was going on in gaming and just walking around, because I had like checked out of the actual doing the actual puzzle. But yeah, uninstalled that on stream. Never playing that again. But I have been playing a lot of Cyberpunk. As you see, like with the gameplay footage there, I have completed my Edge Runner build. It is pretty OP. It's just it's nasty. It's the OP-ness of that build is ridiculous. It's cool. And I actually even started, even though I'm really kind of like slowing down on the games that I've been trying to get through, but I actually started the third playthrough of Cyberpunk. I know, like what is happening. This one is it's a net runner build where it's like all like hacking people and like making them like, I got this one ability called suicide, which I mean, like, trigger warning for people who make, like, look, it literally makes people commit suicide in the game. It's actually pretty, like, and you see them like trying to stop themselves as they pull out a gun and just cap themselves. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of enjoying it, although I do think that I probably need to move on to other things. I did get a chance to play a little bit of A Plague's Tale Requiem. We can talk about that later because that's also on the topics list. And of course,
it right now, but guess where?
On PC.
Yep.
I wonder why.
We'll talk about it.
But no, hey, of course, playing a little Road Company, playing a little Fortnite. Been playing Fortnite with some people, getting some wins, finally. But yeah, I've been having a good time, playing my games. I also installed a new piece of hardware, a 3080 Ti. I am finally satisfied with my build. There's nothing else that I want. I promise. Nope. I promise you guys, you will not hear me talk about wanting a different anything on my PC for at least 2 years. At least.
Here we go. At least 2 years.
At least 2 years.
You do know that 3080 will last you longer than that.
I know, but I'm not. But I have an addiction. I have a problem. I know this.
Oh, okay. So okay, cool. Okay, at least you acknowledge it. Okay. Okay. At least you acknowledge it, because
Look,
you were very, very, very against saying any of this 2 weeks ago.
Oh my god! Look. No, wait. I acknowledge I have an issue. I acknowledge that. Yes, I did.
2 weeks. So, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
2 years from now, the 3080 Ti will be a 3-year-old car because it came out in 2021.
And what car will you have in 2 years? What do you foresee yourself?
I don't know. Maybe a 5070 or a 5080 or something. I don't know.
You'll get a 40. You'll probably get a 4090 at that point.
Real Zaire says if you go past the 38, you still need a new monitor. I mean, I could get a better 4K monitor. My 4K monitor is 4K 60 hertz. I haven't tried any games in 4K. I barely have tried anything. All I did was jump in Cyberpunk because Enrique wanted me to explain my Edge Runner build, and I jumped in and made some screenshots and then sent them to him and made some explanations. But other than that, I haven't had the opportunity today to really put it through its paces. But just off of Cyberpunk alone, I saw a difference of like 20 to 25 frames on
at 1440p.
Yeah, 1440p. I had the same settings as my 3070. I didn't change the settings, which was basically a mix of very high and ultra preset with ray tracing off and DLSS quality on. And so like the footage you're seeing right now is basically that with the 3070 Ti, and it's with it's not taxing the 3080 Ti at all. Whereas with my 3070 Ti, it was just basically running at 97% utilization the entire time. So it's I can tell I'm going to be fine with a 3080 Ti. I'm not going to need anything else. I'm pretty good with this. I'm going to shout out some people in the chat. We haven't done that yet. So let me shout out to that guy Smitty for being the first person here. Stardust Acero, Arcades in the house. Meds, Troubleshoot Gaming in the house. Truth Hurts. Dre Watson. Dre has a pretty cool podcast that he's doing right now on in Twitter Spaces. I think I don't want to say I can't remember the name of it. Dre, put the name of your podcast in the chat there so that people can check it out. And they're only in their third episode, but we had a great conversation earlier with some peeps in the community talking about some of the very things that we're going to talk about today, which is we were discussing is it okay to criticize games and developers, and so it was a good conversation. We had a good time. But shout out to PlayStation Ecstasy, Troop Sir, the Action Luca, what's up Luca, Deli, the homie Deli, and she dies a lot in house, Rail Zaire, Double O, Flame, what's up Flame? Everyone is coming through. Appreciate you guys.
I have
Gregor
to
Von
look at
Doom, what's up, man?
I gotta subscribe to your channel.
Good. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I said I gotta subscribe to this channel, the High Ground Podcast. I have to. It's got Star Wars stuff on it. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Best sci-fi movie franchise of all time. All time.
What's up, Glacy? How's it going, man?
Didn't steal from anything. Got all of his stuff originally from the. I can't even keep this up. Go ahead, Slow-Mo.
Now you said the chat, like he does it on Twitter. Like Dre's podcast is on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, just making sure because I was like Star Wars.
No, I typed in the High Ground Podcast and it was There's one on YouTube, but I was just saying I gotta subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, I don't even. Well, I mean,
but I'm also I'm also looking for Dre on Twitter, so I can do it there too.
Yeah. Definitely check out Dre on. I don't know if they're gonna do it on a certain day every week, but yeah, it was a good time earlier today. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak, bro.
So that means you did a couple of podcasts today, huh?
Technically, I guess so. I did do a podcast today.
So two peas in the pods flock together. Got you.
You know what? I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it slide this time. So you're not doing any more podcasts this week, right?
Heck no.
You
No.
sure?
Yes, I'm not doing Brap. Well, as I'll let Brap know, but as of right now, I'm not doing Brap tomorrow because guess what? We are leaving to drive to Tennessee at 5 a.m. on Thursday. So I'm going to sleep at 8 p.m. So that at least that's the plan.
You're not going to sleep at 8 p.m. I guarantee you are not going to sleep at 8 p.m.
I probably won't, but I will try. I will. You know what? I take that back because if it's nothing, because I will say this: if there's nothing going, because I know what you're probably thinking, you gonna be sitting in the cabin. It's gonna be nobody around you. You gonna have your laptop there, which I am gonna have my laptop. I'm gonna have a mic with me too. And it's probably gonna be Saturday, and it might not be nothing going on. I'll be like, you know what? I'm about to jump on the Scumcast for a minute. So, if anything, I probably will jump on Scumcast just to say hi.
And then stay the whole show.
If it's nothing going on. If we're not doing anything, I probably will do that. So you might be right about that. I don't know.
Oh, I'm definitely right about that. But we can go ahead and get into the show, man. Get into what's going on. We got quite a few topics here. We'll get into the first one, right? So the first topic of the evening is about Sony PlayStation and the DualSense Edge, which is their premium controller. It was announced today that the controller is going to be $200, which I kind of told you guys it was going to be I knew it was going to be $200. I knew it was going to be $200 because every premium controller on the PlayStation has launched at $200. The Astro control, I forgot what it's called. A lot of the scuffs are $200. So I just knew, I'm like, look, why would they release, which is probably going to be a better controller than the other controllers that have been out? Why would they release a better controller for a lower price? It's clearly, if they see those other ones are selling, if the scuff sells at $200, then they're going to sell this at $200. So Forte, What are your thoughts about the DualSense Edge, and are you going to get one?
So, I have flip-flopped on this so many times.
Yes, you have. That's why I'm asking this question again, because I don't know where you land today.
So, as of today, I am not getting this controller.
Okay.
The reason so as of right now, I'm not. And I had to really, really think about it. I was like, man, I really want this controller, but the reason I would want it would never get, as of right now, there's nothing for me to play on PlayStation to take advantage of it. I don't play third-party shooting, like first-person FPS games on PlayStation.
Okay.
The reason I have an Elite controller is because I predominantly play FPS games on Xbox, and I also play them on PC. Now, there's other things going against it.
You can use the DualSense on PC too.
I know you can, but the other thing is I just can't stand inline thumbsticks. It's like literally a bugaboo for me. It's always, now, is it something I can get used to? Absolutely, because guess what? I will be playing God of War, and I will be using that base DualSense controller, and I will get used to it. But I don't know if I want to get used to it and pay $200 for something that I will rarely play. So in my mind, unless PlayStation comes out with a game that is a FPS game that's available only on their platform, that I don't have the ability to either play on PC and use my Elite controller, then that's the only way I would actually go out and buy this controller. Because I'm thinking like, okay, well, I can still pretty much do like what I would do when it comes to third-party games and stuff on Xbox. I do use the paddles in pretty much every game. When I play Halo, I was using the paddles in that and stuff too for the single player. But the biggest thing is that's because I already own it and I just got rid of all my other controllers. Like the Elite controller is the only controller I own. I don't have any base Xbox One controllers. I don't have any Xbox Series X controllers. All I have is 2 Elite controllers, one for my PC, one for my console, and that's all I have. And PlayStation, I just have the basic white controller. I don't go out and buy all these extra colors just to do it. But it's interesting because I do like that they're finally doing it, and they're giving people the ability to finally express themselves when it comes to like their creativity, when it comes to playing the game and stuff, because it does help you by having those buttons and stuff on the back. The problem is I just don't see a game over there that I would play, because like I don't even play Destiny over there. If I had more people that played over there, I probably would do it, but I don't. And plus now that crossplay is a thing, that's another thing. Crossplay is a huge thing now. So I don't have to have the game on PlayStation to play it. So it's just like for people that are only on PlayStation, this is an amazing thing that they're finally doing. I think $200 is a really good price for the stuff that they're giving you with the mod, and the fact that they're making it modular with the thumbsticks and you can actually replace and stuff like that.
Right. So if you get stick drift, you can just replace the thumbstick assembly. Yeah. And then you're all set.
Yeah, and that's something that Microsoft didn't even do. And I think that's an amazing thing. And I would pay the extra $20 for a feature like that to be on the Elite controller. But like I said, ultimately, right now, I'll never say never, because you never know what can happen with these games as a service. Something could come out that really pops and it makes you want to play it. But as of right now, that would be $200 wasted, because I would never play those games on my PlayStation competitively like that.
I'm a bit in a similar boat, although I have used I play on PlayStation, of course, and I like the DualSense. I think the DualSense controller is the best controller that Sony has ever made.
Absolutely.
But that said, I don't play on my PlayStation 5 as often as I do on PC. And when I am on PC, I do primarily use my Xbox Elite 2.0 controller. I do have a DualSense because when I got my PS5 bundle, in my bundle came with a physical copy of Miles Morales and 2 controllers. So I do have a second controller that I do use on my PC. I've only used it on PlayStation games because for some reason, it's like, I don't know where it is mentally, I can't play a PlayStation exclusive with an Xbox controller. I just can't do it. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know if that like makes sense. It doesn't feel right. So like Horizon Zero Dawn, I used a even though back then there were like only drivers you can get were through Steam, so it was really like rough, but I played it with that. God of War, the little bit I played of God of War, I'm gonna go through completely God of War starting this weekend, in anticipation of Ragnarok coming out in a few weeks. But what was it? This is even a PlayStation exclusive, but Sifu I played for some reason. I just like felt like playing with a DualSense. Probably broke my DualSense with that because the way that was going. And what else was it? Spider-Man Remastered, which I'm at the end of right now. Yeah, I've been playing that with my DualSense as well. So I do use it on PC, but everything else I play on my Xbox. So I feel like a premium controller is really only really worth it if you're playing games competitively where you can use the back paddles for like especially for like just making it more comfortable for you for certain buttons that you may have a difficult time hitting. For example, in Halo, on the I only use one back paddle. The Xbox controller has 4. I only use one, and it's on the right side at the bottom. And I always use that in Roll Company to dodge roll. And then I always, in Halo, I use it for my melee. Because I took the melee off the right thumbstick. Because sometimes, like, I press the right thumbstick in too hard.
Trying to run.
I'm trying to shoot at somebody.
Oh, yeah. You do the melee.
And I do the melee, and I'm basically dead because I stopped shooting. And then that whole entire animation of me meleeing for no daggone reason gets me killed. So I took it, the key bindings for it, I took it off of my right thumbstick. I put it on my paddle, and so when I do melee, it's going to be strictly because I chose to. And those are the kind of things that, like, I can see a lot of people who enjoy competitive games on PlayStation are going to have the benefit of doing with this DualSense Edge. It's going to sell like crazy, guaranteed. It's coming out in January. It's going to sell out immediately, because there's going to be a huge community of people who are going to jump in on this. And I know there are people out here who are like, you guys are wasting your time. There's no purpose in it. Like, I mean, they're clearly, I think those people have never played with an elite controller or a premium controller, and they don't see the purpose in it. But if they actually got one and then actually used it to its full potential, they would see why what they're saying really doesn't really make much sense to, especially to the people who use them and play them. So I'm not like some other people that can't play a regular controller because they only exclusively play on their premium controller and they just can't go back.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, you
have regular Xbox controllers?
I mean, I have a Series S, so yeah. And I've been playing the Series S for Overwatch 2 because, check this out, Blizzard disabled aim assist if you're in the PC lobby. So if you play against PC players, they take away aim assist. Makes no sense whatsoever. Like, why would you do that? That's stupid. But if you play on consoles, then you don't ever have to go into a PC lobby and deal with that. So like, if I'm playing with PC people, I'll play on PC. If I'm playing with Xbox people or PlayStation people, I'll play on PlayStation and Xbox. And so I do have a regular controller, and I've been a few times. Well, I've been playing the Division 2 because I still got my Division 2 playthrough on Xbox, and I've been using that, the regular controller on that. So yeah, I go back and forth from time to time. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I can't do it. Can't do it anymore. I mean, I could. It's ingrained at this point now. Like whenever I have to replace my controller, and we don't have one to do it, and I have to play with a regular controller, I'm like, yeah, you get used to it. It's like maybe 2 or 3 games of playing, you'll be like, okay, I'm back to just using the face buttons for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh my god, it's like once you adapt to it, it's like nope. Because like in Halo, I use 2 pad. I don't use all 4. I just use 2, and I always use the ones at the bottom. I mean, not at the bottom. I put them at the top.
Okay.
And I use, for like Halo, I use one for melee, same thing as you, and I use the other one for the grappling hook. So so I could get it. So it was just easy. So you could just, while I'm running around, I can literally just throw the grappling hook wherever I want to. All I gotta do is look there. I don't have to take, because it just makes it more fluid. Because when you think about it, it's like normally you got to take your finger off the thumbstick, look where you want to look, then hit the button to throw your grappling hook, and then it will throw it. Now I can run around and still have full control of my character and just throw the grappling hook, and it will take me where I want it to go. It's just more seamless that way. And in Destiny, I use it for sliding and jumping. Whenever I want to slide or crouch, I have it on one side. If I want to jump, I use the other side. And the only time I gotta ever do anything when it comes to switching is hit the Y button. I do have to take my thing to switch weapons, and I'm actually thinking about incorporating and seeing if I could get used to the third button just so I can have it for weapon swapping. But as of right now, that's what I use it for, and it's really, really cool, and it does enhance your gameplay. Is it like game changing? I think people think that, when you have a $200 controller, it's game changing. No, it just makes the game more comfortable for you to play. And the thing is that people don't realize is the more comfortable you are, the better you play.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what it does for you. It just makes you feel more, you believe in your abilities a little bit more, because you're not fighting against the controller. You're basically setting that controller up to be the way you want it to be versus the way that the developer intended you to play the game with a standard controller. And I think that's the biggest thing that these controllers give you. So I'm happy. First of all, I'm happy that PlayStation is making one, because what this will do is, if this controller is a smash hit, it will make Microsoft have to look at their controller and have to make changes and iterations and make their controller better. If this DualSense Edge doesn't break like the Elite controller does, people will probably start being like, yo, this controller is $200, yours is $179. Can we get a better controller from Microsoft that don't break every 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things. I'm just happy that finally Sony decided to come to the table with something like that.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on like the changing the sensitivity of your triggers. I think that's really important too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and but like that's probably not the most necessary part of it. But I just think that like it's a cool controller. And the people who will get the best use of it will definitely probably not care that they spent $200 on it, frankly. I also kind of feel like there's a lot of people that buy controllers like that and then they don't really like test things out. Because I remember when I first got my Elite, it was a few weeks before I really started to like test out different things and try different things with it to kind of like the profiles. And the fact that I didn't even know with the Elite controller you could change the color of the X button. Yeah, the X button to in the center to kind of like let you know which profile you're currently on. I'm just like, I didn't know. It wasn't until Taz told us that a few weeks ago that I was like, wait, what? It's how long has it been like this? But no,
mine's purple.
Yours purple? Mine is currently red right now. I got red set for Road Company, so that's what the last.
Yeah, I had purple for Destiny, green for Halo, and yellow for Forza.
I have purple for Fortnite, and then green for Halo. Those are my current profiles there, and I got like 12 profiles in there, but you have to reload it at a time. And I got those are the three I got loaded right now. But yeah, moving on. I mean, look, Forte's not getting it. I'm not getting it. But if you do want to get the controller, like I said, $200 coming out in January. I'm pretty sure it's going to sell out. So as soon as the pre-orders go up, you know what you probably need to do. Probably need to go get that.
That pay in 4, baby. PayPal. Pay in 4.
Wait, what?
Paying for PayPal. That's how you get it. Pay that thing off in four payments, so you ain't gotta shout out $200 for a controller at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Definitely, that's definitely a way to do it. Our next topic is Spider-Man Miles Morales And I want to what I want to do is also like because we're this is about the PC hardware requirements, and if you recall, a few months ago, before Spider-Man Remaster came out, when the requirements came out for for Spider-Man Remaster, there was a lot of PC gamers that was upset. It was like, wait, what you mean I gotta get an SSD? What you mean? What you mean? 3070 is recommended. What you talking about? Yeah, it's Go ahead.
They ain't stutter. I said they ain't stutter. They ain't stutter. They told you what you need. Y'all here buying 4090s, you might as well have an SSD at this point.
Well, the people who have a 4090 aren't the people that have a problem with those people got NVMe Generation 4 NVMe SSDs already.
If you got a 30 anything, you got an SSD.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least you should. If you got a 30 anything, you should have an SSD right now.
If you have a 3000 series GPU graphics card with a mechanical hard drive, I'm looking at you real funny.
Real funny.
Like, cause what are you doing, bro? Like what? Like what? What priorities are not there clearly?
Clearly.
I want to show what the actual requirements are now.
Can you even buy a pre-built without it?
Oh yeah, I've seen like people always come to me with like, hey, Slow-Mo, what do you think about this build? What do you think about this particular PC? Anything that you think is this worth buying, or would I need to replace a thing or two here, or is it just like don't bother with it? And I've seen quite a few that still like. So what they do, a lot of these PC builders with their pre-builts, they try to give you a lot of storage, but then they know that NVMe SSDs are expensive. So what they'll do is they'll give you, because it's supposed to be a gaming PC, but if you really going to get like a 1 terabyte NVMe, that's going to like shoot the price up a little bit. So what they do is
say the 250 gigs.
No, they go. Some of them are 250 to 500 gig NVMe's on your hard drive. I'm sorry, your operating system is on that.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to put your games on that. So that's what they do. But then for the storage for your games, they'll give you like a 2 terabyte
Barracuda.
HDD. Like and it's like slow as it's all get out, and it's just like. Why would I want to play games off of this? Like, you gave me 2 terabytes of worthless storage. So
why would you even want to contaminate your system with that?
Contaminate? Come on, man. But no, but it's just like what I've told people before who've had like where that's the only like drawback to the build. I'm like, go ahead and buy that anyway. And as soon as you get it, pull out that hard drive. And of course, double check to make sure they actually have an extra slot in the motherboard for another NVMe, like another M.2 slot there, so they can actually install a second one. But just go ahead and install that yourself. And the process is super easy. It's probably one of the easiest things you could do to your PC. But anyway, let me find. Because I gotta. Trying to find the good old. There it is. Okay, so this might be a little bit difficult for people to see because I can't blow this up because I got this. I should have saved it. Anyway, I got the screenshot off of Twitter, so it was off of Twitter, off of Nix's Twitter page, because Nix's is doing the ports, of course, and they did the port of this one. So anyway, what we have is recommended here, and recommended is 1080p. At 60 frames per second. Graphics presets medium. They saying a 1060, which is pretty old GPU. It's like 6 years old at this time, I think. Yeah. 6-year-old GPU, the lowest of the 1000 series, or a AMD RX 580, 16 gigs of RAM, a 75 gig SSD. Very high is a 3070. And amazing ray tracing, which is 1440p at 60 FPS And with ray tracing 4K at 30 FPS, high ray tracing, a 3070 and a 6900 XT. But then for ultimate ray tracing, 4K, native 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, high preset, very high ray tracing, a 3080 or a 6950 XT with 32 gigs of RAM. and of course a SSD. So yeah, like it's never going back down, people. Like I for my PC gamers out here who are upset that they're seeing like, man, I gotta upgrade this, I gotta upgrade that. You should have been upgrading those things over time so that you didn't get to the point where you're being forced into it. PC is fluid. It's not like with consoles where you buy a piece of hardware and you expect it to last like 4 to 5 years. You know, you expect it to be relevant in gaming for that period of time before the platform manufacturer is marketing a new version of it to you, or at least with Sony and Nintendo. Microsoft has different designs there, right? But on PC, when things start to go, when you start to notice you're getting a bottleneck, oh, my CPU is bottlenecking the games now, yo, it's time to get a new motherboard and a new CPU. My GPU's not keeping up, get a new GPU. It's just the way it's a part of PC gaming. And if you want premium performance, you gotta pay premium price. I'll say it again. If you want a premium performance, you gotta pay a premium price. You can't skimp, because if it's cheaper, it is cheaper for a reason. And if you don't upgrade, you're gonna be in this position where you're like, man, I can't play this game at 60 FPS. Like what people are saying about, even on PC, about a place to Requiem.
Right.
I can't play it at 60 FPS. You're gonna have to upgrade. Forte, what are your thoughts on this, man?
So I mean, I can't. We lock and stock and barrel on this one, bro. It's like people get upset because they feel like the hardware they have should be sufficient enough to play games into the future, and I'm like, nah, man. Your PC is only as good as the games that you buy when you bought that hardware. You know, your games scale exponentially over the course of a generation. Just because in 2022, you know, when a 4090 comes out and destroys everything, we said the same thing a year and a half, 2 years ago with the 3080, but it's like, hey, it's no reason for you to ever get anything else. And look how much performance more gains we're getting with the newer gen GPUs and stuff. And all that's going to do is entice developers to push the envelope even more. Next thing is going to be like, right now, I think it was that year we were looking at that thing where it's like, oh man, this is crazy. They want an SSD. Now you're seeing them wanting like 16 gigs of RAM for like minimum. So what's going to be next? 32 gigs of RAM? Like, you see the high settings for the game.
Yeah, 32 gigs.
32 gigs is the recommended.
We talked about it multiple times. We're seeing it now. We're seeing games that came out years ago on PC that were taking maybe like 12 gigs of RAM. And they get further updates, and then they get, like, you know, new expansions. And next thing you know, you got your MSI Afterburner going, you got your Returner going. You're looking at your stats, and you're like, wait, is that 18 gigs? Is that 19? Is that 21 gigs of RAM being used? All right,
70% of my RAM being used in this game right now.
Yeah. Like, what's happening here? Like, I'm gonna have to buy. I already know within the next 2 years, I'm not going to, if I have to upgrade anything on my PC, it's going to be my RAM. I'm going to be basically getting another 16 gig kit to put me up to 64 gigs. Because I'm currently got a 16 gig kit in now for 32 gigs. So it is what it is. It's just a part of gaming,
But
go ahead.
but I said, but the cool thing is, and like this isn't a console versus PC thing or anything like that.
Oh, not at all.
No, not at all. We all have consoles. We love consoles. We talk about it all the time. But this is just what the ability of having a PC does for you. Instead of having to wait for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to get caught up to where PC or where fidelity in games and graphical fidelity and all that stuff is, you have the ability at any time to improve on your setup. Anytime you want to. Every year there is something that you can always do. One year you can do a CPU, one year you can do the GPU.
Yep.
Some things you kind of want to do in conjunction with each other. If you do a CPU, you kind of want to probably have to do the motherboard and everything at the same time. At some point you're going to have to get another a more powerful power supply for your whole system. You might want to get a new radiator or something to cool off all the stuff inside your PC. I always tell people this. I always remember my very first pre-built PC. I bought it at Best Buy. It was amazing. And I literally used that same case to upgrade my PC over the course of the first 7 years I had it, to the point where all it was the only thing that was original in that build was the case. And then even then, and this is when you go back to, this is going all the way back to Intel 4680K for the 4000 series for Intel. So I just remember going to that and then it was like, okay, it's time to just build a whole new PC. And then that's when I went to the Intel 8700K and everything. And then you just do incremental changes. I went to 1080. I had a 780 at one point, the Nvidia 7080. Then I went up to the 1080 Ti and all that other stuff. And then 2 years ago, I made the jump and went to the 20 series. And then last year, I upgraded my CPU and my GPU, CPU and my motherboard. And now I just got a new GPU earlier this year. So, but my PC is ever changing. But you have the ability to do that. Xbox has only released 2 next generation consoles over the course of the last 13 years. Compared to your PC, you could have changed over 5 or 6 times and make it the way you want to make it. So these games are kind of mimicking hey, well, these are the things you can do. If you want to get this type of fidelity, this is what you need. If you want to get just better performance, this is what you need. And then all along the way, you can scale it with resolution. You only want to play at 1080p, which is the universal standard for PC right now. Most people still play at 1080p. They don't care.
Right.
But if you want more, you can get it.
Yeah, and shout out real quick to the real Maslin in the chat. That's the homie right there, man. It's good to see you, bro. And yeah, people could always lower graphical settings. You could you could get it to low, to medium low, right? You could turn on FSR if you have an AMD GPU or you have a older than 3-year-old. Actually older than 4-year-old GPU, Nvidia GPU. You can do these things to make sure you get a stable 60 frames per second frame rate on PC. But eventually you're going to have to upgrade at some point. You can't just run around with a 570 forever. You can't run around with a 980 forever. At some point, you're going to have to upgrade. And in order to avoid having to basically do a whole new build, I always kind of prefer just doing small little upgrades here and there. And eventually, if I do have to replace my motherboard because everything it's 2 generations behind. It's PCI 3 and they're on PCI 6 or whatever. I'll do what I gotta do, but at least I'm not having to replace literally the entire PC. We can move on. I don't want to bore our console audience. I know they're just oh my god, what are they talking about? What's a PCIe? I don't know what that is. I don't care. We can move on to a topic that is maybe I should have made these back to back, but The next topic actually is, we're gonna make this real short. I promise. It's gonna be real short. But this one,
Riders don't want to go to sleep yet.
this one is also about PC. This is Nvidia, and I think this is important for all gamers. And here's why. What's important here is that Nvidia launched a 4080. They launched the 4080, and it was not really a 4080. It was a 12 gig 4080, and people are like, wait a minute, like the actual version of this isn't even like the other 4080. So it's like, no, that's not really a 4080. So a lot of PC gamers called Nvidia out on their BS. And so Nvidia came out last week, I think last Friday, but they came out and they said, hey, our bad. We didn't mean it. Sorry. We're going to unlaunch this. And so they literally said the words unlaunch, which is kind of funny to me. But they unlaunched the 12 gigabyte 4080. And so Forte, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Gamers won, man. Once again, they spoke. And this is one thing about the PC community that we always appreciate, because, you know, you put a lot of money into your PCs, and when you see something not right, they speak up on it. And Nvidia was like, listen, they tried to pull a fast one. First of all, they did it completely backwards this time because they knew what they were doing. Normally, the 4090 is a card that comes out later, but they was like, you know what? We're going to release that one first because we know people are going to buy it. And then we're going to release the 4080, 12 gig, and 16 gig in conjunction with each other. And people was like, wait a minute, why? What is the difference? So it is really 4 gigs of VRAM. What was the difference in price, Slow-Mo?
It was a difference of 4 gigs of VRAM. The price is $300 difference.
Yeah,
but it's not just the VRAM. The CUDA cores were significantly less as well.
Less too, and that's what I was sitting there. I was like, so it's $300 difference. You stamp the number 4080 on it to try to entice people to say, oh man, I got a 4080 12 gig, so they can feel all proud of themselves. But then when you go back and you look at like the specs of what a 3070 Ti and a 4080 were, you notice with the Delta, because it usually scales the same when it comes to like the CUDA cores and everything like that, and you can see what the massive difference between those were. And everybody saw, and they was like, wait a minute, this has significantly less CUDA cores than a 4080 would normally have. And guess what? All they did was just try to rename a 4070 Ti or a 4070 and make it a 3080 so they can make more money off of it. And guess what? All they did was pull the 4080 12 gig. And all they're gonna do is launch it later as a 4070 Ti.
Right.
They're finally gonna change the name of it to what it normally is supposed to be, but they're gonna wait a while and let the heat cool off. And then that's when they're going to announce that this new, and they'll do the 4070 first. And I don't think you'll see this card until this time next year. This time next year, you'll finally see what this card actually is, a 4070 Ti in name.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why they unlaunched it and we don't know when it's coming back is because, like, they're literally weeks away from the launch of the 4080, the 4080s, because there's supposed to be 2 of them. The 16 gig one is still coming out, but they had, like, not it's just themselves with their Founders Edition cards would have been printing out, like, you know, like boxes, and even having 4080 put on a lot of these cards. But the partner cards, which would sell way more than just the Founders cards, got 4080. 12 gig 4080 plastered all over them, and they're no longer going to be 4080s. They got to make all those changes. That takes time. So they just, you know, they'll probably release it sometime next summer. It'll be a 4070 Super or 4070 Ti or whatever. Like that, they'll figure it out. But essentially, gamers came together, told a industry leader in a certain industry. We ain't having it, and they blinked. So
Right.
shout out to the PC gamers for getting that done. We can move on to a very evolving topic here. I think this one's kind of like pretty wild because there's been so much going on, and I it's crazy what's been happening because it started on Saturday and it's just kind of just like kept going. So essentially, what we got going on right now is Bayonetta 3 comes out, I think, at the end of this month.
Yep, it is.
And Bayonetta 3 is got a new voice actress. The previous voice actress, let me get her name because I don't want to misreport anything here. I'll get her name in a moment, but she came out with a series of videos on Twitter last Saturday. These videos spoke about what she said was the disrespect that she received from Nintendo and Platinum Games because she was only offered $4,000 to reprise her role as the voice actress for Bayonetta, the main character of the game. Everyone who heard this was just like, man, wow, $4,000 is pretty low. Like that's no one can make a living off of that. Like, what's going on here? Of course, a lot of people didn't know what voice actors are normally paid. They really aren't paid like really a lot much over that. There's been strikes back in 2016. The voice actors got together with a union and they did a strike for a full year. They didn't get everything they wanted, but they did get a few concessions before they decided to work again. But voice actors don't get paid a lot. And they don't get paid anywhere near the level that Hollywood actors get paid for doing voice acting. But she came out and she was asking people to boycott the game. She was asking people to, instead of spending the money you were going to spend on that game, spend it on charity. And some of the developers for Platinum had some words for her. Some of them got their Twitter accounts suspended. But I'm trying to get her name real quick. It is give me a second. I'll get her name in a moment. Helena Taylor, that's her name.
Yeah, Helena. I knew it was Taylor. I couldn't think of her first name.
Right. So like she's been the voice of Bayonetta for the first game and the second game, and she's no longer in it for this game. Now, the person replacing her is veteran voice actress. Why am I blanking on names right now? I mean, she just I was just talking so glowingly about her a few hours ago. Forte, help me. Voice actress Jennifer Hale. Good grief.
Jennifer Hale. Yeah.
Jennifer Hale. And Jennifer Hale she's been in Knights of the Old Republic. She was Bastila Shan. She was in the Mass Effect trilogy. She did the female version of Commander Shepard. She's done a lot of stuff. She's done a lot of work. She is up there with the Nolan Norths and the Troy Bakers and the Laura Baileys. She's primetime, right? And so she even said she was like, she doesn't have any like problems with Jennifer, but she shouldn't be out here calling herself Bayonetta, which I thought was weird. That's kind of a weird take, like you kind of she took a job. Like she didn't know the inner workings of what happened between you and that developer / publisher. She's just trying to get work like everybody else. Like, why you gotta come at her like that? So this has been a big talk over the weekend, and it came out today that there has been a lot of reporters going behind the scenes, getting information, speaking to people at Nintendo, speaking to people at Platinum Games, and it's getting messier. So the reason why it's getting messier is because they're claiming that Helena isn't telling the full truth. So Helena has said that she only got offered $4,000. They are saying they offered her $4,000 after they had already replaced her. So Forte, this is what they're claiming happened. They were going to offer. They said she would need to do 4 sessions, 4 voice acting sessions. She would get paid $4,000 each for each session, which would have came to roughly around like $16,000. She wanted a triple figure salary for the work. This is what they said. She wanted triple figures for her work on this game. And they was like, nah, fam. And they try and negotiate with her, but ultimately they couldn't come to an agreement. And then they went on and they got Jennifer Hill at that point. Now, after that, they still tried to get her Ren to do a cameo for maybe a different character or something like that. Now, because that would be 1 voice acting session, she would have got $4,000 for that. So
and that's where the $4,000 came from.
That's where it came from. So this is where I and look, and I don't know. I want your thoughts on it. And in one moment, this is where I kind of feel like it is with this. I can't tell who's telling the truth here. I don't know, but somebody's lying.
Right.
Somebody is lying. It's either Helena is lying, and she tried to manipulate the truth. She omitted some information in order to make Platinum and Nintendo look even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're lying and everything that they're saying isn't true. So what are your thoughts on it? Also, I have a theory. I'll wait till you do your thoughts before I say the theory.
So to answer the last part you just said, no, I don't know who's lying here, because you're right, somebody is, but she already has broken NDA on this.
Yes,
she's already did that, so it wouldn't be hard for her, because she got documentation showing that she was offered such and such, and she has all the paperwork, and so does Platinum has the paperwork too. So I think it's almost like if she shows it, it shows like documentations that she was only offered the $4,000 for the entire role of being Bayonetta. I think that would easily turn around on her if Platinum actually did offer her 4 sessions at $16,000 in order to do it, because we're in an age now where these companies ain't afraid to go out there and hang you when it comes to what you're trying to say about them. If you're against them, it seems like everybody's coming out of the woodworks to prove themselves when it comes to what people are saying about them. So part of me wants to say, like, well, you already went so far by breaking NDA by talking about all this stuff, so you really truly don't care about the NDA that you signed with them. So why stop there? You're already in legal. If they decide to come after you legally, you're already in legal hot water.
Right.
So you might as well go the rest of the way and prove your point, because guess what? The one thing that can save you in this whole conversation is the public sympathy when it comes to, like, because we already, like, listen, we know how Platinum is, especially on the Xbox side. We already know that they by hook or crook, they got a game Nier Automata made by, for another platform, with the money that Microsoft gave them. We know by hook or crook, they go get something done. And if that's the case, people will be on your side. But it's almost interesting to think that if you don't do that, and I mean, I'm not saying she should, because like it's legal stuff, and I understand that, but you already came out and said this. It's like once you open yourself up to this type of criticism and you're willing to do one thing, you might as well just go the rest of the way. So I don't know who's right, who's wrong, and all this other stuff, but I will say, when I heard the $4,000, I was kind of taken back. I was like, wow, $4,000. But being on Scumcast, being one of those not educated people on the situation, I didn't know that that's actually kind of how it is in the voice acting market. Now, I know there's other voice actors like, Nolan North and everybody, they probably don't get I guarantee they don't get that probably. They get top dollar, but you know what? Everybody doesn't get that. And you being, like she said, and Bayonetta is not a big enough name, I feel. It's not like we're talking about Mario here.
Yeah.
It's not like we're talking
like the last game, Bayonetta 2 only sold 2 million.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about Link, and Link doesn't even talk barely. But we're not talking about Zelda. We're not talking about Mario. We're not talking about any of these high price characters that they have. We're not talking about Master Chief or something. So what is it you expect? $4,000, that seems like real low, but how many people will sit in a vocal booth for what? Listen, you tell me I need to sit in a vocal booth for 16, 18 hours, and you go give me $4,000 to give you some lines and give me some directions on the lines, I might just do that. More than likely, I probably will. Because guess what? That 17, because you got to think, they said it's going to be 4 sessions. Let's say those sessions are 8-hour sessions each. That means you work 32 hours and made $4,000. I listen, man. I understand that you are what you're worth, and the money that if you feel like
you mean $16,000.
Yeah, 16,000. No, I'm talking about $16,000. No, but I'm talking about even at 4,000. If they let's just say that she had to do 30. Like, let me ask you this, Slow-Mo. If you had, if someone told you if you had to do 32 hours of work to get $4,000, would you do it?
I mean, am I a veteran voice?
Just in general.
I mean, yeah. But you can't just do just in general, because I don't have a history. It scales because if I want to break into the voice acting industry, I'm going to take that job because it's more of a resume builder than the salary.
Yeah.
Like this is more about me. I'm getting other benefits here, which would be working myself towards the kind of salary, the kind of compensation that I think I'm worth. But in the meantime, I gotta show people that I am worth it. She is already kind of established, so it's like, look, hold on.
That's the thing, though. What about 16,000 then?
16,000. I mean, look, it
32
depends.
hours of work.
It depends if that is the industry average. That's what So we're speaking out of ignorance without knowing what is considering the industry average. And in my line of work, I'm a network engineer. I'm not going to accept a new job, like a job that's from a different company that isn't at the minimum the average of what someone with my years of experience and my skill set would take in my area. I'm just not going to do it. Even though it would be good money, it's not the standard that you should pay for my work, period.
Right.
So I'm not doing it. So I understand her mindset that I'm worth more than this. But what we don't know is, what is that worth? What did Jennifer Hale take for this? We don't know. She's under NDA, so she's not speaking on it. But she clearly didn't like the way she was disrespected by Helena, and then some of the backlash that came at her from people on Twitter, ignorantly for no reason, which is understandable. But I don't know what the average is. We talked to our homie Ramon Terrell, who's an actor and has been working and getting into the voice acting as well, and he knows some people who've done a lot of prominent things, working on various different games. I can't speak on it because this person spoke to him and wanted to remain anonymous, so they didn't end up getting some blowback for speaking candidly about it. But they thought 4,000 was extremely low. And so,
Oh yeah.
but if it turns out what Platinum is saying is true, then it wasn't really just 4,000. It was 4,000 for one session, multiple sessions. So, look, it's an evolving story. I expect more to come of it. I did have a theory though, right? And my theory is based upon something that was reported today, where people, someone has said that. So, remember how I brought up the union that now represents the interest of the voice actors when it comes to video games and that kind of stuff? Well, that contract that the union negotiated in 2016, that contract is up in 21 days. So now that contract's up in 21 days. They're clearly, the union that is, negotiating with publishers and whatnot for extending the contract, or basically definitely on their part trying to get some of the things that they didn't get done back in 7 years ago. It was 7 years ago? 6 years ago. What if this entire thing is only happening because the union is trying to negotiate?
Oh yeah.
What if the entire thing is all about a negotiation? And because, like, look, clearly the work has been done. Why didn't she voice this when she didn't get the role that Jennifer Hale did years ago? Why is she voicing it now? And then, because look, in the public's eye, the public looks at it like, oh man, y'all not paying these voice actors right. So then it puts pressure on publishers to be like, all right, we might need to change compensation. So I wonder who essentially may have put Helena up to do this. Now, clearly, I mean, of course, excuse me, the game comes out in 10 days. So, you know, maybe there's something personal there. She wanted to try to sabotage the launch. Hey, don't buy this game. You know, like if you mention it a year from now, the people who may have actually agreed to not buy it, they may not feel the same way a year later. Sure. But I just think it's a little curious that the union contract is up in 21 days. I kind of feel like that might play a part in it. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's true. I just ultimately just think that I just feel like personally, if you have a long-standing relationship with a character that you're building, she wanted triple digits, which is 100K basically.
According to them,
she wanted 100K.
Right.
I'm looking at it like, okay, you offered her, you know, roughly 16,000.
That's pretty far off.
That's pretty far off. And I mean, at least monkey in the meet in the middle, maybe 50K. I mean, I was looking at some of the, you know, that's even well underneath the yearly average for voice acting. And you know, it's all skewed because you got the lower end combined with the higher end, which brings brings it to the median, which the median, especially in places like California, is like $49,000 a year if you go off the median for it. That's even underneath that. But the thing is, that's over the course of a year. We don't know how, they say 4 sessions over the course of how long. It could have probably been a month time, and she's kind of looking at it that way. But you're not really tied up to doing anything. I know, I wish it's like we don't have enough information to really know off of it. Right. Because I can tell you people like, you know, Lance Reddick, he does the voice for Zavala. Right.
But Lance Reddick is a Hollywood actor, and I almost guarantee you Lance Reddick isn't doing that for 4K a session.
No, he's doing it from his own home in his closet. And he still is getting more than $4,000 to do it a session.
Right. And I think that is that's the other part of it, right? So you got the Hollywood actors that come in and they demand a certain pay rate. I mean, like they do like actual physical acting and not just voice in various TV shows and movies and stuff like that, and they don't get paid anywhere near like they're getting paid. Some of them getting millions per episode. Some of them are getting like options, percentages of the revenue of the box office gate for the movies. They're making crazy money, and their union has got it and negotiated where they always get residuals. They're always getting royalties off of the movies indefinitely. So it's just,
well, you look at the whole Scarlett Johansson thing where she went to about the whole Disney Plus thing and the what's the name movie that she made that she didn't get all the revenue because of the box office sales weren't there because it went to streaming services.
right. And so
For Black Widow.
yeah, so it's interesting because it's like you have these, they seem to have the money and the budget to get big name Hollywood people in, but they don't have the money and the budget to get people who are proven commodities in the video game industry and being able to get the work done. Like there's a black voice actress, Kimberly Brooks. She played Ashley Williams in the Mass Effect trilogy, and I've seen her in a number of other games where she was a voice actress, and it's like I've never seen her in any like actual acting on screen roles, but she's a mainstay in voice acting in video games. I almost kind of feel like it's a given that someone like Lance Reddick is going to get more than her.
Yeah. Oh,
even though if you bring up Destiny, right? Remember the original voice of the Ghost was Peter Dinklage, who was Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. He absolutely mailed it in. He absolutely he did not want to be there. This man, like, he said his lines like
he said his lines and got up out of there.
Yo, pay me. Well, I don't know, and maybe it was what they paid him was more than what most voice actors get, but to him, this is pittance. This is nothing. You know what I get for a Game of Thrones episode?
But guess what? I guarantee you, he got more money for doing doing the voice of the Ghost than Nolan North got doing it after he did it.
Yes, and Nolan North was way better.
It was way better, but they gave Peter Dinklage way more money. I guarantee it.
Right. And see, and part of the reason why they killed off Kate Six's character, reportedly, no one knows for certain, is because the actor's name,
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion wanted more money, and he was like, I might this chump change y'all keep trying to get me to do this work. You gonna have to step up. And they said, all right, but we go ahead and get Nolan
North can do this.
Nolan North can do now. Like, does he get double the money for that, or
he better? No way. I'm not getting paid. You getting paid for the Ghost, and you getting paid for K6 too. I'm not for K6 too. Well, K6 is not even in the story anymore, so it doesn't matter.
They killed them off, right?
They killed them off.
But it's just it's funny how that is, like, because they seem to find the money to get these big name actors in, but can't find the money for other people, and it's weird, man. I think we could move on though. Anything else you want to say about this?
Oh, I didn't know. So I didn't know that Kimberly, the girl Kimberly Brooks, she played Ashley. I didn't know that.
Yep. Kimberly Brooks, black woman. Played white woman, Ashley Williams.
That's what I'm saying. Black woman played white woman that shot Rex in the eye for me. Oh my God! The hood came out of her, and that, you know what? That probably why it went down, because Ashley wasn't no joke. Ashley wasn't no joke. She had some sister in her. And now we see why. She did a lot of stuff though. She voice acted. I'm looking at her IMDb, and it's a lot of stuff. South Park, and
she's very prominent. She's been in these streets for a while. A long time.
Going back to 1996. Oh yeah, she been doing this. Shout out to her.
Right, and there's a lot of other, like, there's the voice actress for you know what? Let me get to something. I forgot to do something, Shout out to Erodimus with the member super chat saying, yo, 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 what's up, Erodimus? Hope you're doing good. You got the tank class membership for the past 5 months. Appreciate you, bro. And also, shout out, was that Struggle Gamers? Shout out to Struggle Gamers. What's up, Struggle? What's up, bro? I appreciate you and subbing to the channel, sir. Hope you're having a good evening. What was I about? I was about to say something, and then I remembered that I had to do the super chat. Help me, Forte. I don't remember.
I don't remember because I don't think you ever said it.
I sure didn't say it. It'll come back to me.
It came to your head, and then you started talking to Erodimus. So
it's back. So the girl, the woman. So she's not a girl. She's a grown woman. Let me say the woman that does the voice of Layla, who is one of the characters in Redfall. Is another black woman who is done a lot of voice acting work, and she's like really good. I've seen some of her interviews where she talked about like a lot of the voice work. She'll do commercials, and she could do the voice of like the person that's like has to say all of the fine print in small real fast. Yeah. She could do it like no problem. Like she's like really good, and so I like to see more people, more diversity happening in voice acting. But like, hey, maybe that diversity is happening because some of the more mainstay voice actors are now starting to demand a little bit more compensation for their services, and so these developers are going to some fresher talent that will accept a smaller strategy.
Well, that's normally how new people get into the industry. People get not priced out, but people start setting their prices because, like you said, they already hit the pavement. They already walked that walk. They can go out and demand like 70,000, 100K for doing a voice acting gig, depending on how many lines it is. And it is up to the publishers and developers to say that's too much for us, and they'll go find somebody else that's brand new that can do the same exact job. And they'll probably just have to work with them a little bit more to get the lines delivered the way they want to. But they can find people that sound pretty much as close as the other people sound to what they usually have as an actor.
Right.
People's voices they could definitely be changed, and they do it a lot.
Yep, there's a lot like you mentioned Nolan North. When if you didn't know that Nathan Fillion was no longer playing that character, Nolan North basically just did Nathan Fillion.
He did a really good job playing Nathan Fillion.
It was if you didn't tell me that wasn't Nathan Fillion, I would not have known.
Yeah,
he did that good of a job. But
yeah, now the difference between the ghost between Peter Dinklage and Nathan Fillion, I mean, in Nolan North, was definitely noticeable.
Yeah.
Now there was nothing because the what's the name asset shines through when it comes to Tyrion Lannister.
Well, yeah, we can move on to our second to last topic, which is about A Plague's Tale Requiem, and it releasing today. Forte, have you had the opportunity to play it yet?
I'm looking at it saying play on my PC right now, so I will play it tonight. I looked at a bunch of reviews on it though. I haven't got a chance to play it myself yet though.
Have you played Innocence, the first one?
Yes, I did.
Did you beat it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. So how, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited were you for this one?
When I saw, first I knew they were going to make. I just didn't expect it to come so fast. I was like, wow, that's pretty fast. But listen, man, the Sobo, it is just, when you think about a Sobo, it's like they made this game. Well, they made Innocence. Then they made Flight Sim. Two completely different types of games, and both were phenomenal. And now this one, it just shows the pedigree of the studio. That's why a lot of people say, like, when people mention Asobo, they always say Microsoft should buy them.
Right.
You should buy them. Who cares if you got a 10-year Microsoft's Flight Sim deal with them? Don't do what you did like you did with BioWare. You should buy them and get this out the way. But with that being said, I was very excited when as soon as I saw that they announced that they were doing a new one. I was like, man, really? And it doesn't seem that long because they announced it in 2018, so it's been 4 years since they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just lets you know how the world has changed, time has changed, time flies by when you're either having fun or when you're in the middle of a world pandemic. But yeah, I like looking at the gameplay. I was watching some of the gameplay trailers, and is this your actual gameplay, or is this the 16-minute gameplay stream that they did?
This is my actual gameplay.
Okay.
I'm working on the video. This is actually with my 3070 Ti, which I no longer have installed.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Look how good that still looks.
That's running. It's running ultra settings, no ray tracing, and DLSS enabled at quality mode, and it's about like 60 to 75 frames per second.
I hear the game is super freaking demanding.
It's very demanding, so demanding that on consoles you are locked to 30 frames per second, 40 if you have a VRR capable TV that can actually they can get you 40.
I feel sick.
30 is rough. Now, I do agree with you. This is a very beautiful looking game. It's a proprietary engine that Asobo created. It's the same engine that they're using for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So as people should have expected, Microsoft Flight Simulator is one of the most demanding games that's on PC, and it's so demanding that Nvidia used it like with Cyberpunk, another super demanding game, as one of the games showcasing running on their new flagship GPU, the 4090, to show its power. So they usually always choose the most demanding games to kind of show to you like why you should get this card, that kind of stuff. And like this game is pretty much going to be right up there with the rest of them. My footage isn't very long because what I was doing was just kind of like a little benchmark. I'm gonna do the same length of footage for the 3080 and just like have a video with the two of them side by side.
They don't have an actual in-game bench tool for it?
I didn't see one. I didn't see a benchmark in the settings, which is unfortunate with a game like this. Like you would want a benchmark. But right. I'm not surprised. Like CD Projekt Red didn't put a benchmark into Cyberpunk until like a few months ago. So it happens. But here is yet another game. So this topic is going to roll into the second topic. I am going to finish I'll finish talk about the game. I'm excited to play this game. I've been waiting for this game all year. I really enjoyed playing A Plague Tale: Innocence. It was a sleeper hit back in 2018. Really good game. Really good story. Very beautiful game. Gameplay, definitely could have used some work here and there. Very formulaic at times, but I'm excited to play this one and see where the story goes. The developer one of the directors already said this will be the last game in this IP. So they're not doing any more Plague Tale games after this. This is the end of the story. And
did you turn motion blur off on this game?
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay, that's why it looks so good.
Why would I have motion? Like that's a given. Motion blur gets turned off.
Because you know how these games are. They like to launch with the game with motion blur on. I hope you turned it off.
Oh yeah, I turned it off. I went into the settings. The first thing I did.
Okay, good.
But no. Also, another cool thing about this is that they apparently had a historian join their staff to kind of help them, guide them with the way the world looks, as far as making sure it was accurate to France in that time period, and as well as guide them in story and the way the characters are dressed and the way they look, just kind of make things as authentic as possible. They said with this one they really wanted to be super authentic. And also apparently the rats is no joke. Like they had in the first game, the maximum amount of rats on screen was 5,000. In Requiem, it's like 50,000. I think they said is the maximum number of rats on screen. So can't wait to get to that part. But yeah. Anyway, look, it's going to be an awesome game. I would recommend you check it out if you have a PC. Because if you don't, then you're playing at 30 frames per second. Sorry, you're playing at 30 frames. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. This isn't the only game that's coming out this week that is at 30 frames per second. The other one is Gotham Knights. And so that has kind of sparked a kind of a debate between developers and gamers in regards to frame rates and what is acceptable and what should be feel is acceptable. And so what happened was Friday. Well, let me go further back. We only know that A Plague's Tale Requiem is 30 frames per second because people who actually had the game and were working on reviews of the game and benchmarking the game spoke on it. This was never something that Asobo came out and told people. Capone says it's 40 FPS slow-mo. It's 40 if you have an OLED, with VRR. Now everyone has that, so if the minimum is 30, Capono, then it's 30. Sorry, bro. Mm-hmm. Now, Asobo didn't come out and speak on this, and WB Montreal with Gotham Knights tried not to come out and speak on there. So like it was leaked last week that there was only one mode for Gotham Knights, a 4K 30 mode, which really isn't 4K because you never really get native 4K on consoles. You need to stop calling things 4K that aren't 4K. But a 30 frames per second mode is the only mode. It's supposed to be able to have ray tracing in it, I think. Maybe some form of ray tracing, not like kind of ray tracing you see on PC, of course, but it's supposed to have that in there, and they're supposed to be have like a lot of settings on that basically they couldn't do in 30 frames per second, even though it's an Unreal Engine 4 game. But all these rumors were going around. And instead of addressing this publicly, like, you know, on their social media, on Twitter, or in a blog post, something, WB Montreal addressed it in their Discord. Mm-hmm. As if they thought it wouldn't end up screenshot and put on Twitter, which is exactly what happened. And they said they confirmed that it indeed is 30 frames per second on consoles, on PS5, Xbox Series X and S. And that's when things started to spiral downhill. Gamers got upset, didn't like the fact that this game is coming out in less than a week, and we're just now hearing about this. Gotham Knights has been getting panned, you know, by a lot of people for very subpar looking cutscenes. I don't understand what exactly you couldn't do 30 frames per second when the game visually to me looks like cheeks, like booty cheeks. It looks bad. Like I don't think the game looks great at all visually. It looks very dated. Character models look very last gen-ish, and I mean, originally it was developed as a cross-gen game, but seriously. And the other thing that I find kind of weird is that their response, but this developer who has since deleted his Twitter account, a Rocksteady developer who's a level designer. He was a character artist working on Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Came out and said a lot of slanderous things about the Xbox Series S, about gamers in general, and in our how we don't know anything about game development, and saying how they should get paid more and they should charge us more so they can get paid more and all this stuff. And before the weekend was over, he had deleted his account. I'm pretty sure his bosses told him, hey, first of all, shut up. Don't say nothing else on your Twitter account. Matter of fact, if you want to keep your job, you better delete that Twitter account. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but we pretty much know that probably, but pretty much what happened. He deleted his Twitter account before this week started. But it sparked a lot of conversations with their developers out there. I saw one from Insomniac. I saw other developers saying some of them actually kind of going against what this guy from Rocksteady said, but the majority of the ones I saw were defending this guy, with gamers on the other side saying, hey, look, we have a standard, and we feel, and with this current generation, that you should have bare minimum as a standard, a mode for performance, a 60 frames per second mode. And so, yep. Forte, what are your thoughts on this as someone who owns consoles, but also has the choice to play them on PC? How do you feel when there's a game that you are interested in playing and then you find out it's only 30 frames per second and there's no other options?
Sir, well, I will repeat what I said on RDX earlier today. I feel like for this generation, I always forgave previous generations just because the hardware, even though the hardware could do it, it wasn't optimized enough to do it. You know, you had really good GPUs paired up with really terrible CPUs, and it just is it was a recipe for disaster trying to get a consistent thing when it comes to people, you know, wanting to make games like that. But this is the ninth generation, and the ninth generation, you can only push graphical fidelity so far. You can only push, you know, the things that you can see and interact on the screen so far. You know, the one thing, especially in a console ecosystem, is performance. And Xbox went out there and told everybody that we're about performance. We want your games to look better, be better, and play better and perform better. And that's why we started getting like all of these different FPS boosts and resolution boosts and stuff like that, because they saw the benefit and tried to move the category forward. And that's what these next generation systems were supposed to be. You know, when you go out and spend $500 on a piece of, you know, on a console, you expect at least the stuff that was printed and talked about by the developers or by the people that made the system to be, you know, at reasonable, you know, 90% of the 99% of the stuff that you're going to get. You know, you're going to have one-offs every once in a while, but it just seems like we've been getting a lot of the things that gamers don't want anymore now. And, you know, this is a brand new phenomenon. And I think that these developers are kind of taking advantage of it a little bit, because they know that a lot of people still truly don't understand what it's like to play these games at a better, you know, frame rate, better performance and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that understand it now, but they're still like living off of the fact that we could be a little lazy in making these games. We don't have to push the envelope when it comes to performance, because, you know, visual sells, and we understand that. People understand that, you know, eye candy is what ultimately sells these games and stuff. But I just don't like the fact that we don't have options. Like, yes, you can give me Plague Tale, you can give me Gotham Knight, you can give me a game that says, you know what, these rats, 50,000 of them on the screen now compared to the 10,000 that was before, or 5,000 that was before. That's amazing. That's awesome. But give me the option by allowing me to turn up the frame rate by going into a performance mode that might knock down how many rats are on the screen. Maybe instead of 50,000, it's only 10,000 or 20,000. You know, just the ability to say, the system that I bought, I can take advantage of it in multiple ways. And this goes back to the PC conversation. The fact that you have the ability to scale how you want to play your games based on the hardware that you have. And the thing is, you could do that anytime on PC. And guess what? You're not penalized for doing it on PC, and you pay less for the games on PC. So not only are you paying a console tax, you're paying a $10 to $20 premium to play games on an inferior platform, but you're also not having the ability to have the choice to even play those games the way that you want. You basically are stuck saying, oh, if they want me to only play at 4K 30, that's the only way I can, until they, guess what, give me some type of performance update at a later date that allows to give me the ability to do it then. Go see games like I forget the name of the game, but see a bunch of the games that came out, like Deathloop, games that came out over the course of the rest of this year, you know, that didn't have performance modes, but all of a sudden later on, a couple weeks later, ended up having them. When they sat there and they said that, oh, we can't do that, we're a small team, it'll take us time to do this, but within 2 to 3 weeks we end up having something like that. It's just very disingenuous to hear that them saying that you don't matter, and our idea of what we want our games to be is what you should just deal with. No, what do the gamer want? What do we want, the people that go out and support your games? It goes back to what that developer said for Days Gone. You guys, if you want sequels, support the games. Well, if you want us to support your games, make the games the way that we want them made. And that's where it begins and where it ends, honestly. So for me, I'm really interested in the game. I'm real and I'm gonna play Plague Tale because I was really interested in that, and I have the ability to play it on PC. And it's the same thing with Gotham Knights. I have the ability to play it on PC, but they pissed me so much. And since I wasn't that really interested in Gotham Knights so much, I could just skip that game. You know, but it's just the fact that they don't give us the option, Slow-Mo. If we had options, I could forgive everything they said. You can still run your 4K 30 frames, ultra settings and everything, and that's cool. But I just have to have the ability to play the way I want to. And I feel like that's what's been missing this generation. And honestly, it looks like this is going to be a common trend going forward, because unfortunately the casual base don't care about stuff like this, and they're the ones that buy the majority of these games.
Yeah, I think Gotham Knights is number four on PlayStation as far as for pre-orders go.
Yeah,
so it's clearly going to sell, regardless of the level of quality or lack thereof that people perceive it to be. I do agree with you, and I do kind of feel like there's this there's a tug of war going on, and that tug of war is consumer preferences versus creative freedom. And creative freedom is what the devs want. Like we kind of got into this. The first time I ever saw this kind of debate occur was with Mass Effect 3 and its ending, where a lot of people, the vast majority of people, were upset with the way the game ended because they felt lied to. They felt that they were led astray with how it was supposed to end and what they expected based upon the marketing of the game and then the entire series of how an ending would look. And so the first time I actually saw like a developer not apologize and not go, oh, we're so sorry, we dropped the ball here. No, BioWare was like, nah, this is the ending that we wanted. We don't care that you don't like it. And oh, you want us to elaborate on it? Fine, we'll even add an option in the ending where you can sit there and do nothing and let everything that you worked for go to waste and let the entire galaxy die because you don't like the way. And it was funny because if you listen to the dialogue of the Star Child that you're talking to, they basically just called you a selfish jerk. And it's like the level of energy that they had about their creative freedom. Although I was one of the people that was like, yeah, y'all lied. I don't care about, like, clearly once all the facts came out, the original ending you didn't even go with, and the lead writer left. So clearly y'all knew that wasn't how it was supposed to end, regardless, right? But that was the first time I had seen a developer tell their consumer, this is art, and we don't care about what you want. We created a work of art, and you don't get to tell the artist the way it's supposed to look.
That's and I wasn't mad at them saying that. I was still mad about the way it ended.
Right, exactly. So although I still didn't like the ending, I had to respect the fact that that's how you wanted at the end.
Yep.
So be it. That's the way it ends. But
you know what? The biggest thing about that, going back to like, you know, and that's probably a really good analogy you brought up with Mass Effect. There were so many other things. Like, the thing that made that game so divisive for people is because it did such a great job at the end, leading up to the run to the Citadel, where you fought the elusive man in the final fight before you made your decision on red, blue, or green. So, but the lead up to that, the ability to go to the building and talk to all of your past crewmates and get like this closure with every last one of them, and let them know how they felt about you and just how you felt about them, just the story element that in general. For me, Slow-Mo, the reason I didn't like piss a fit at the ending like a lot of people did is because I felt like that was my ending for the game. That was like my closure. Like, the people that I cared about in that game, I got a chance to like have that one last moment before the final climactic, ending of the game. And that's why a lot of people felt the way that they felt. Now, if you didn't have that connection, then you were even more pissed off because you felt like you were lied to. But for a lot of people, they felt like, yo, this game gave me everything that I wanted in the end. I just wish it was kind of portrayed a little.
There was definitely a percentage of people.
Well, for them to go out and make to actually clarify the ending, you're absolutely right. There was more than its fair share of people.
The vast majority of people were not satisfied with the way that ended.
Well, that's why they redid it. And I did play the ending again, and I was like, okay, this is better, but I wish I ain't have to go through this again just to see it.
Right. But to bring it back to Gotham Knights, and also Asobo with A Plague Tale Innocence, they felt they had a visual, a certain look or something that they wanted to have in the game that wouldn't have been possible if they would have worked towards a 60 frames per second mode. Now, I still think like it's not a good excuse, because we're not asking for it to just be 60 frames per second. Although there's some people who think that like it should be 60 frames per second, period. We're not even really asking that. What we're asking is that to have the option to choose, the way PC gamers have the option to choose. Like, you know, I can play whatever frame rate I want to play a game at. You know, I could go balls to the wall, ray tracing on high, and all the graphical settings on ultra, and I can play it at like a game at like 60 frames per second. But I prefer to lower some of the settings, play around with them, find that sweet spot, and then play it at 120 frames per second. That's what I prefer. And maybe someone else is completely different. But that's the beauty of choice, that we could both play the same game and both have different experiences with it and see things differently and see that game perform differently and still have the same enjoyment. They robbed the people who wanted to play Gotham Knights of that ability. And frankly, 2 years into this generation, you can't go back to 30. Like, people, it's the same way like when we always tell people, once you play on PC and you see what you've been missing out on with like that super high frame rates, it's hard to go back to consoles and play it at like something that's like below 75 or 80 frames per second. Like 60 is just, sometimes it's like 60 is my bare minimum, right? But it's
60 shouldn't be, anything under 60 shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, but
without options at least.
Right, but the fact that they didn't give us an option, to me, kind of tells me that this is less to do with creative freedom, we're artists, and what the Insomniac developer said, where he was like, so is a 30 frame per second game bad now? Like, nobody was saying that. Ain't nobody saying a Plague Tale Requiem is a bad game because it's 30 frames per second on consoles. No one. has said that. It's just like stop being disingenuous here with the gamers' arguments, which just causes more drama and arguing when people aren't being heard and what they're saying is being misconstrued into something different. Like don't do things like that. But the idea that you couldn't just give us an option, like you're telling me you couldn't lower a settings here and there, you couldn't lower some of the graphic settings from high to medium, or to make some small changes in order to push that frame rate up. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like this is more of a project management issue, more of a we didn't have enough time to get that done issue, and that we'll patch that in. Well, we plan on patching it in post-launch, but we don't want to say it directly right now in case getting it a lot of rock solid 60 frames per second isn't doable for us. Then we're just going to act like, yeah, we always wanted it to be 30, so that there's no expectation there. And it also kind of, to me, says a lot about WB Montreal, because they ain't dropped a game in 8 years, and now you drop in a game that you canceled last gen, and the game still looks like a last gen game. But whatever, right? Forte, my question to you is, so these two games are just full current generation games. They are not cross generation games.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that we saw for the past 2 years so many games at 60 frames per second with performance modes is because these games were developed with last gen in mind, but running on current gen consoles where the chances to make that happen were easier, and that as we see more current gen games, they're going to be 30 frames per second? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I think that's the direction we're honestly heading in, unfortunately. Just more because developers are only gonna put as much time as they need, especially right now, because we got to get as many games out as possible. A lot of developers are still scrambling from the last couple of years of stagnation, not being able to, get their games out in a timely manner due to just the world, the way that it's been. I don't want to say that every developer, but I do see the very few that understand their pedigree and what they can do. Like, can I see somebody like Rockstar or something, how you doing like that? No, because I think they kind of understand the performance side of it, and if they have the hardware, they're definitely going to take advantage of it. But not every developer does that. I just think, honestly, people keep saying, well, if it's not a shooter, it doesn't. If it's not a shooter or a fast-paced action game like Uncharted or Last of Us or something like that, or Halo, it doesn't really need to be 60 frames per second. Not all games have to be 60 frames per second. And it's not the fact that all games have to be 60 frames per second, but every game should have an option to have that be available. It should, just because like the game probably wouldn't benefit from it in some people's eyes as much as others. Some games will probably play just as fine at 30 frames per second and at 4K.
Depends on the kind of game. Like let's say
it depends on kind of game.
Diafield Chronicles, a strategy RPG. Yes, okay, 30. You can do 30 with that. The Fire Emblem, those kind of games. Sure. A Telltale game where you're just walking around and it's largely the story that's the biggest selling point to it. Sure. But like Spider-Man that's playing right now, I remember playing that on PS4 at 30 frames per second in 2018, and I don't know how I did it. I can't imagine it now. And again, it goes back to how things are ever evolving. Standards are ever evolving. Like, I played my favorite game all time is Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger was on the Super Nintendo, and you look at it now, ain't much to look at visually.
Right.
the standard, but that was considered great graphics back then.
Mm-hmm.
But that won't fly today. Not on a AAA game. The standards have changed, and standards will continue to change. And developers can't tell gamers what is and what isn't their own standard. No, you don't get the right to do that. You can say it's your art, and you want to work on it however you want, and you want your creative freedom and creativity to create whatever you want. But you can't get to tell. You don't get to tell me I have to accept that. That I can just not buy your game. I can just go somewhere else where I'm getting what I want. And that's the give and take of consumerism versus, the artiste. I am an artiste and I get to make what I want. I'm an artist. I created this masterpiece, and I'm like, all right, that's ugly.
That's ugly.
I don't think that looks good. Sorry. It's
fugly.
Right. It's there is a give and take there. And in regards to my question about whether this will continue, I think primarily that we'll continue to get two modes for I think these are kind of one-offs. I think that Asobo has a proprietary engine that's very, very demanding. It's like the Northlight engine that Remedy has. That's super demanding, especially for CPUs, because it's very physics driven. Asobo's engine is super demanding, and we saw that with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it will continue to be a demanding engine until the PS5 Pro comes out and the Xbox Series V. I just made that Xbox name up. I don't know if the next one's the Series V, but let's say it's the Series V, right?
Okay.
And on PCs, it will continue to be demanding until everyone is at the level of like a 4090 or higher, which ain't happening anytime soon. But
right.
And I just think WB Montreal just ain't that great of a developer, honestly. I'm sorry. Like, I hope that's not, disrespectful if there's ever anyone who works there that listens to this. But you're working on, and I'm not trying to say this stuff is easy. Game development is not easy in any way, shape, or form. But you got a last-gen engine in Unreal Engine 4 that everyone has developed 60 frames per second games on before, and even developed some on last-gen consoles on hardware that was so far outdated and a piece of crap that they were able to still get 60 frames per second on it, but you somehow can't on a PS5. And then you had one of your sister studio developers calling the Xbox Series S a potato, when the CPU in it is the same CPU that's in the Xbox Series X.
Right.
And Cyberpunk runs on it at 60 frames per second. Cyberpunk. A far more demanding game. So I'm sorry. I don't buy those excuses. I think that most developers understand what gamers want, and they want to sell a game. And they're not going to potentially lose sales, jeopardize that by not giving gamers what they want. You're going to get your performance mode, and some developers have dropped the resolution of their performance mode down to 1080p. Cool. With super sampling and FSR, AMD super resolution getting better, that's fine. You can do some kind of upscale to 1440p or whatever to kind of to make up for that. But whatever you gotta do to get 60 frames per second, that should be the standard period. And if you don't reach that, you should be trying to reach that. That's all I gotta say about it. Anything else you want to say, bro, on this topic?
Nah, man, you killed it. I just think in general, just wait. Everybody needs to speak up. Even if you're a console gamer, the biggest thing that I always try to tell people, gaming is definitely a selfish hobby. Mm-hmm. Definitely is. But you should always want there to be an option for people. Like if you want to play at 4K 30 and somebody wants to play at 1440p 60, that doesn't hurt your experience. So you should always want that to be something that is available for everybody, because guess what? The more people that play these games, better for you if you like the game, better for them if they like the game, because that's more sales for the developer and the publisher, meaning we can get more of those games into the ecosystem. And we won't have things that happen like Days Gone where they feel like they were slighted because their game didn't sell as much as it needed to sell when it comes to at the full price of the game. So, speak up and definitely call this type of stuff out, but also just be humble in the fact that if you're on PC, you have the ability to play these games at a higher resolution. You still should speak up for the console gamer, because
Right.
Guess what? You used to be a console gamer at 1.2. We all didn't just build up and play on PCs the first day. Most of us started somewhere along the lines of something that was a 6-bit or a 16-bit console, and we graduated to where we are now. So that's all I need to say.
Shout out to Dragonheart Yobi. What's up, bro? Becoming a channel member, a 10% for the last 2 months. We appreciate you, sir. Shout out to Capono for the $5 super chat. He says, Slow-Mo, is it fair to say this game started development before current gen console dev kits were available? If you're talking about Gotham Knights, I would say that is a 100% certainty. But bear in mind, WB Montreal hasn't dropped a game since Arkham Origins, I think, which came out like 8 years ago. And there is a lot of there's a lot of stories about what's been going on behind the scenes. They weren't exclusively working on Gotham Knights this entire time, but they had a lot of prototypes of games that they were trying to, Batman related games they were trying to get WB to approve of, and they didn't. One was going to be, I recall, a game that was focused on Damian Wayne, who was Batman's son. That one got scraped. There was a Superman game that at some point got scraped. I don't know if that was Rocksteady that was working on that one or not, but they have put forth a lot of projects before they settled on getting Gotham Knights approved. And even though they haven't released the game in 8 years, it's how long they've been working on this isn't a concrete answer, but it's definitely before dev kits were started to go out for the Xbox Series consoles and the PS5. Regardless of that, they are the ones that chose to make this a current gen game. So that came with some expectations. Like when I remember they announced that it wasn't coming out on the PS4 and the Xbox One anymore, I said, good. Yeah, we need to get rid of the shackles. We need to go push the envelope and get games that can perform better. But as the game started to show more and more, I started to see the character models looking like last gen character models. The voice acting was a bit a lot left to be desired there. Cutscenes didn't make, like, the acting, the story, the dialogue was CW level, and I'm just like, bro, what is happening here? Nothing about this looks like current gen. I just think it's a failure of the developer there, and not necessarily a sign of the times. At least I hope so. But right. I do think that I agree with you that they started working on this before they got current development kits, which means that it's designed as a last gen game. Like the size of the city, the number of enemies on screen that you fight, like the way the level design. If Deli was here, Deli would be able to explain this so much better than I am, because I'm not a developer, but I just listen to developers. But like all of those things are things that, shoot, rest in peace to Optimus Code who taught us this as well, that like so much of how a game is designed is based upon like what they know of where it's going to be on and what they can do with it. And so if you thought that this was going to come out on the PS4 and Xbox One, then you designed a game that would, you're not going to have the PS5 version have a bigger part of Arkham City than the PS4 version. Then it's like it's not fair to the people on PS4. So you want to put the same version out there. So you design for the lowest common denominator. And frankly, now that lowest common denominator is the Xbox Series S. But if Cyberpunk can get that game at 60 frames per second, you got no excuses to not be able to do that for all the consoles that all the platforms that you're putting the game out on. And with that, I think we're done. Anything else you want to say on this topic before we move on the outro, sir?
Nah, man, this is a good show. I mean, like I said, I was wondering if we was gonna a 4-day turnaround. I was like, oh, are we gonna have stuff to talk about? But guess what? The gaming gods blessed us over the weekend, and
today as well.
Yeah, and today as well, and it's going to continue to be interesting. I will say this: did you hear the news about Sony and the how they blocked Call of Duty from going?
Yes, that's some that's not game breaking. That's some news to the minute things. Like, so apparently this is being purported by Microsoft that in the and they would know this because they did the acquisition, and doing the acquisition with Activision Blizzard, all of contracts have to be divulged to Microsoft before they go forward with the sale. So when they approved of the sale completely, that is when like they already had all this information. So they've known this already, but it's just becoming news to us. In the Call of Duty marketing contract with Sony, Activision Blizzard agreed to not put Call of Duty on Game Pass for a number of years. The number of years isn't known yet, but this is something that Microsoft exposed in their response to the CMA, which is the British the British Regulation Board that's taking a look at the UK one that's looking at the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And so this is something that has been speculated all year. We didn't know for certain that if they could put Call of Duty in Game Pass or not. I kind of suspected this was the case, considering when the marketing deal with Sony was renewed and how Game Pass was starting to gain in popularity and subscribers around that same time, especially after we saw that Capcom had agreed to a similar deal for Resident Evil Village. I was like, yeah, they definitely got that deal in for Call of Duty, which is a much bigger game.
How much did they have to pay to do that though?
For them, it's whatever it takes. They probably spend a pretty penny to get that done. And Microsoft says they will honor it. So what you're looking at is you're probably not going to get Call of Duty in Game Pass day one or at all until the marketing deal with Sony is done. So that's even after the acquisition. Even if the acquisition gets completed with zero restrictions in any of the territories that's being taken looked at, even then, you're probably not going to get Call of Duty in Game Pass until the marketing deal is done 2 years from now. So that's like 2024 at the latest.
Yeah, 2020. Well, there's no game next
earliest.
Year, so
I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's not 100% guaranteed yet. That's still a bit of a rumor that they won't do a game in 2024.
Well, I'm just always telling people 2025 is where you should kind of shoot at, because it's like, in general, this is crazy, but we like it. But it is, and I was talking about this on RDX. It was just like, this kind of all started. The Call of Duty deal came up for renewal 2 years ago. Slomo, do you remember what happened 2 years ago to Sony that would make them make this move to make this game not go into Game
MLB
Pass?
The Show.
Exactly.
MLB The Show on Game Pass.
And I remember then we were on Scumcake, might have been here. We probably said it in all three places, but we instantly said Sony's probably embarrassed by this, and they're gonna make sure this never happens again. So they're gonna start putting this in contracts to make sure that this doesn't happen to them again. And as soon as I heard the thing with Resident Evil, I was like, oh, okay, Resident Evil 8 can't go in there. And we knew that they had redid the marketing for Call of Duty 2 years ago. And that was always a conversation like, hey, did this happen before or after? Now we know the answer to that. We know this happened after the fact. And they were like, okay, this can't happen with this game. And the fact that Microsoft's willing to stick by it as usual, I think is a good thing. But also it just goes back to Sony is doing every little thing they could possibly do to, not have this deal. Well, not to have it not go through, but to try to stave off the whole Game Pass, avenue. And for them to put stuff like this in contracts, especially from third parties, it lets you know that, when people keep saying like, well, they're not really afraid of Game Pass. I was like, they may not be afraid of Game Pass, but they're worried about what it could do, especially with this whole acquisition being on the cusp of probably going through or whatever, because they're literally throwing the kitchen sink at the conversation right now. Anything that they can do to try to bury this conversation and say how it's not good for gaming, they're doing it. And I don't blame them for doing it because they're trying to protect their bottom line. But just seeing this with Game Pass and everything, it just lets you should truly know now, these companies don't care about you as a gamer. All they care about is their bottom line. All they care about is the money that they can bring in. Sony didn't even fight this hard for you when they got hacked. They gave you a subscription service, they gave you a service, they gave you a couple of free games every month, and people were happy with that. And then they turned around and charged you for it in the next generation. And guess what? This time they're willing to spend money. But are they willing to spend money for you, or are they willing to spend money to protect their interests to make sure that their company stays profitable so they can consistently keep giving you the games that you want to get? But ultimately, they just want to keep their bottom line. And that's what all of this is. And it's there for everybody to see. Microsoft's doing it. That's why they're coming out saying that, oh, well, we're third in console gaming, seventh in just gaming general.
Man, they really hurt. They really like
they
really pushing the woe is me, right?
The woe is me. All these companies is pushing an agenda, and I'm not saying nobody. And I'm not saying
we're in last place everywhere.
We last place, bro.
How can we threaten anyone?
We can't do anything. Look at the Nintendo Switch. They ain't got Call of Duty over there. They surviving. So, and the funny thing is, there's a lot of good points all around from everybody, pretty much, and it's interesting seeing it. But man, if you didn't know, you know now. It ain't got nothing to do with you as a gamer. It has everything to do with these companies protecting their bottom line. And honestly, you just got to remember that. So when it comes to what you want to do, what your preferred platform in the future, just remember you are a $ in a piggy bank, and you should act accordingly when it comes to that. There's nothing wrong with supporting the platform you want to support. Just remember, ultimately, when the chips hit the ground, they will forget about you, and they will go after wherever that dollar is. And so this. What happens when Sony gets to a point where their revenue generating, the revenue they generate is greater on another platform and not just the PlayStation? What do they do then, Slow-Mo?
You're going to start seeing some exclusives going in the opposite direction if that happens. Now, I don't think they're going to start generating more money on PC than they do.
No time soon.
It wouldn't be with any of the kind of games. See, it wouldn't be with any of the kind of games that they are known for. The PC market isn't used to Sony's very cinematic, high production value, third person action adventure kind of games. They're not used to seeing that on the PC platform. I'm not saying we don't get some of those games on the PC platform. We don't get the level of quality of those games on the PC platform. So that what they're trying to do right now is what I said in the live stream about Xbox and Japanese games, about cultivating a community. They're trying to cultivate a community on PC. So that's why they could be, even though Horizon Zero Dawn sold 18 million on PlayStation, they could be just as satisfied with the 2 million it sold on PC, because that's 2 million new game. Well, to them, mostly two, because you got some double dippers there, but you got 2 million mostly new people in your ecosystem that weren't there before. And so you can build off of that, because if they enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, then they might enjoy playing Horizon Forbidden West. If they enjoy playing God of War, when you drop Ragnarok next year, they're probably going to go pick up Ragnarok. If they enjoyed Returnal, they might get the next one. And so it's like it's building upon a foundation of success. And but if they start that they're 12 live service games, if they're very similar to a lot of games that already come out on PC, there are live service games like Valorant, like PUBG, like Fortnite. If they're similar to those kind of games and they have big success there, oh yeah, you can start to see some things changing in regards to where they put their priorities, you know, and because now the dynamics of where we're making our money has changed. Whereas with The Last of Us Part 2, they had 2,000 developers working on it, multiple teams, hundreds of millions of dollars spent, so like 10 million, and the tail of those sales is now pretty short. Now it doesn't sell as much as it used to sell, and you're gonna get of course it's gonna get a second life on PC eventually. Whereas a live service game, if it's successful, is getting money at launch, and it's getting money 6 months later, and it's getting money a year later, and it's consistently still bringing in revenue. Its tail is super long. And so that's why a lot of these publishers are switching to that model, or just diversifying their portfolio where they make some of those games like that, the way Sony is doing, because it's just there's so much money in it, and it's cost them less to make, with the potential of providing so much more for them. And so I mean, we'll see what happens, but this is why they said day and date on PC, because they know the PC market will play those kind of games, and they know the PC market will support those kind of games, even if those aren't the kind of games that might not appeal to their PlayStation community. So of course you're going to make sure that you get as big a population as possible playing it, you know. But man, we just had a mini topic at the end. This was so we getting up out of here. Shout out to Victor Alistine with the $5 super chat. It says the funny thing is Sony did this even before Game Pass started blowing up. That's like 2019, 2020. Great show, guys. Thank you, Victor. Yeah, I think Sony saw the tea leaves. They saw where things were going, and especially when they announced day and date for their own first party games after acquiring all these studios. You know, like, unfortunately, we still ain't got them daggone games. But you can imagine when those games come out, how people will look, you know, see those services, and then they probably looked at like, well, so how are they planning on supporting this service before, you know, all these studios that they acquired and get done with their contractual obligations to start working on actual Xbox games that will only be in Game Pass in the ecosystem, like where, yeah, they're probably going to try to money hat some third parties. So let's go ahead and get the marketing on some of those deals and say, hey, look, if I pay for the marketing, I'm not going to allow you to put this in Game Pass to upset, you know, like, what's the purpose of me marketing this and then people find out it's in Game Pass? they're not going to buy it on my platform. They're just going to get it in Game Pass. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense that they will put those into their marketing contracts. It makes total sense to me. But I mean, we can move on. We can get up out of here. Forte, great show, man. Great show.
Yeah, man, that was a great show, man. We had to give the 10%ers one extra topic. We probably talking once we get more information, because this is going to be probably the rage of the story for the rest of the week going into the weekend. We'll have some more stuff to talk about next week too. So yeah, man, it was a great show, man. You do one of the best jobs in hosting a podcast as anybody.
I don't know about that. I think I do all right. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you keep the conversation going. That's all that matters.
Would you, outside of your vacation, hey, on your vacation, are you bringing anything with you? Or are you bringing your Switch?
I'm taking my Switch with me. My Steam Deck won't be here in time, unfortunately.
Oh man.
So, but I'm taking my Switch with me, and I'm taking my laptop with me. So I'll be able to play games.
I was very fortunate when I went on vacation last June that my Steam Deck came in May. And so I was able to play my games off that I have through Steam. I was able to play games through xCloud, and I was able to play games through PlayStation Remote Play.
Yeah, so I'm definitely, well, like I said, my goal is to more than likely I'll end up probably beating Plague's Tale while I'm on vacation, because you know how it is. Once it hits 9-10 o'clock at night, everybody laying down and stuff, that's your time.
Wait a minute, how you gonna play it on vacation?
What you mean? I'm gonna take my laptop with me.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad.
Well, laptop, baby. That's hey, the next best thing to a Steam Deck is a laptop. And I got a really good one. So, but I'm also
your laptop's got like a 2080 Super in it, right?
It's got a 2080 Super in it and i7 in it, so it's pretty good. But yeah, I'll be doing that. Yeah, if you see me on, cause I'll be on and jump and play Fortnite and stuff. I'll still be playing. I'll still be talking to people. It just comes down to like during the day. For the most part, I probably won't be doing nothing but that. I am going to edit a couple of videos while I'm there. So that's another thing I'm going to be doing over the next day or so, just getting footage so I can just do videos and stuff and post them while I'm there. So I ain't got to really do no work other than that. But it's going to be a really interesting rest of the week. But Plague Tale, that game looks incredible, and I cannot wait to jump into it. But outside of that, man, just making videos and enjoying the rest of the week. And I'll definitely be back in town I'm only there till Sunday, because that's the only thing that sucks. It's a 10-hour drive that's probably going to take 12 because we're going to stop, and I'm basically going to spend a day in driving, because we leave on Thursday. We got Friday and Saturday there, then we drive back on Sunday, so Sunday night I'll be back. So it's just it's crazy, but you got to do something, man. It's just tired and got to get away from the state for a while.
Yeah, I got you. Guess
trying
what?
To get slow mo here.
Guess what I got coming in tomorrow?
4090.
No, I told you I'm not. I'm done.
I don't believe you.
I'm done. Don't believe you. I have a 3080 Ti now, and I am satisfied. I am happy.
So what do you have coming in? A new processor, CPU,
no
gaming chair, camera, so you can be on camera?
No.
What you got coming?
You really can't guess this?
I don't know. What do you got coming? I mean, you got your card came already. What does it got to do with?
Emulation.
Oh. Oh, so your Switch Lite is gonna be what color did you get? Pink?
I didn't care. It could have been pink. It could have been fuchsia. I'm not going to use the thing.
Switch Lite coming just so you can legally do illegal things.
It's not. That doesn't even make any sense. Legally do illegal things doesn't make any sense.
I know. Legally do you want to do illegal things legally.
There's nothing illegal about it.
Yeah, you wanna crack your games and download them to your Steam Deck, but the only way you can do it legally is by owning a Switch and having the games too. So that's what you're doing. Listen, I am not gonna knock the hustle as long as you have the stuff to do it.
You told me
I
that
told you what to
I
do.
wasn't going to do this. That I was going to rip these games offline and just steal games.
You were until you found out that the easiest way to do it is just to own the product.
I was not. Don't.
Yes, you
You
were.
gonna give
Yes,
me
you
my
were.
credit. You gonna give me my
Okay.
credit, okay?
I'll give you half credit.
No, give me. I want full credit. I am emulating. I am not pirating games. There is nothing illegal about it. Nintendo, I can say this freely to Nintendo. I can say it to Nintendo. I can go to Doug Bowser and be like, I'm emulating your games on Steam Deck. What you gonna do, punk? He ain't gonna do nothing. You can't do nothing.
Listen, Slow-Mo, I'm with you, bro. You know what? I'm not lying, because I would be doing the same thing. I got a Switch already, though. So as soon as my Steam Deck gets here, I'm gonna be like, what's the best way to play Switch games on my Steam Deck? How do I do it? Oh, let me call Slow-Mo. So go ahead and get all that. Go ahead and get all that stuff out the way so I can know.
Call K Asante, because I barely know what I'm doing with emulation. And K has been my mentor, my Yoda. I've been his Padawan. He's been teaching me the way. So, it should be arriving tomorrow. And once it arrives, I'm gonna get started. I found my Fire Emblem 3 houses.
Found it?
Yeah, because I said
you didn't trade it in when you got rid of your Switch?
No, I didn't. I don't know why I kept it. I probably kept it because I enjoyed the game so much. Sometimes I just keep games, even if I trade in a console or a platform, and I'll just keep the game just because for sentimental value if I really enjoyed it. That's probably the reason why I kept 3 houses. What you say?
I said Cyberpunk looks really good with swords and up close combat.
Bro, that game is fun with the builds that I've been using, man.
How much more fun would you have had with the game if it wasn't busted for a whole year?
Right. I probably would have realized how good of a game it actually was at launch if I wasn't dealing with the game being busted all the daggone time. So
yeah, well.
Rest in peace to Adam Smasher. That's who I just completely destroyed there. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I'm gonna emulate that first because I already got the game here. So that'll be the first one I do, and then after that I'm going to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looks pretty good. I have yet to hear really anything negative about it. It might end up being like best RPG of the year, who knows, right? So that'll be the next one I emulate. I still need to get that copy up off you. You said 42, 40, 40ish. Okay, I got you. I'll cash app you that money. Just send that on my way.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But no, yeah, that's coming tomorrow, and hopefully by this weekend I'll fully get invested in.
We gotta stop talking about what's today. So Rondom is up here trying to get us some help. He said, "You two on here talking about pirating games while I'm working and getting this channel sponsored and Sarah Bond on the channel." Hey, okay, you know what? We will cut this part.
We are not talking. This is not pirating games. This is emulation.
It's called preserving the games that you
preserving the essence of the creativity of the artistic and whatever, man. Look, it ain't pirating games. I can't think of any more glowing words to put on it. It ain't pirating games, technically. So it's not. But Sarah Bond can come through. I got a lot of questions for Sarah. In regards to she's running Game Pass. I got a lot of most of them should probably say I can't answer that.
I got questions for her too.
Right. But yeah. If you can, Erasmus, if you can swing that, I'll send you my 3070.
Facts.
Right. Anyway, let's get up out of here. For myself, I definitely haven't done. I haven't done lunchtime with Slow-Mo this week. Expect one tomorrow or Friday, I think. But either way, appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody that came through. Really enjoyed you guys being here and enjoying our conversation with the music in the background, the ambiance. We're gonna get up out of here though. You guys enjoy your games. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we're out of here. Peace.
Later.
Eyes up, Guardian.
Wipe yourself off, man. You did.
Eyes up, Guardian.
Wipe yourself off, man. You did.